I'm starting to notice a problem that we're having with people who have joined the site who were using electronic cigarettes for a long time to quit smoking, and then they joined our site to get off the electronic cigarettes. Now, it's an issue which I kind of suspected was going to happen, but didn't know for sure. I started to hint at a problem that I thought we were going to have back when I made our first electronic cigarette video. It was called E-Cigarettes and Harm Reduction. It's a long video. It's a complicated video. It was a complicated topic. It still is. About the 22-minute mark into it, I started to explain how people were probably or possibly going to come in who were going to cause some problems, purposefully though, that they were going to try to somehow endorse the use of electronic cigarettes. But that's not the problem that I'm seeing right now. I started noticing it back in August, and I think it may have been one of the times we had one of the first people come in who were electronic cigarette users long term. They've been using it for at least 6 months, and I don't remember how long this guy was using it. But people who use electronic cigarettes for a long time and then realize they just transferred their addiction. They now want to get off the electronic cigarettes. So they're using the Freedom Board to do that. Now, originally, when Freedom had finally became a cold turkey site, it was really just showing people going cold turkey off cigarettes. That's how it was for quite a long time. And now we're starting to see people who are going cold turkey off of cigarettes, and people are going cold turkey off of other nicotine products that, again, they use long term. There seems to be a difference. I'm not surprised by this, but there's a difference. And I'm making this for the benefit to help explain to those people why they might be having a problem, but also equally important, maybe more important, is for all the other people reading at this board, when they start to see someone who's having a longer time problem, a harder time problem, and they happen to be using electronic cigarettes as the method that they used to originally quit. I want you to realize there's a good chance your cold turkey quit off of cigarettes is different than their cold turkey quit off of electronic cigarettes. It's not on a physical level, it's on a mental level. And this was something which is very similar to the difference between a really long term heavy smoker, someone who's been smoking 40 or 50 or 80 or 100 cigarettes a day. Hey, these people exist. On how they often have a easier time in the long run quitting and staying off than someone who smoked, just for a few months and only smokes 2 or 3 cigarettes a day. Or even who smoked for years but only smoked, 2 or 3 cigarettes a day, or maybe only 2 or 3 cigarettes a week. Those people will often have a harder time quitting. Well, I think electronic cigarette users are also facing some of the same issues that light smokers are facing. They didn't get to a point, and maybe they never were going to get to the point, that they hated the electronic cigarette. They weren't getting to the point that they were having the social problems that they had with cigarettes, with electronic cigarettes. In a sense, they kind of enjoyed their electronic cigarette more because of the restrictions that weren't on it, and that the way that they were using it. They didn't, their memories of it weren't that bad as the memories, the accurate memories of what smokers likely had, of what their smoking was like at the end. Plus, on top of that, you've got this question mark out there about, gee, how dangerous are they really? See, we don't know. We don't know. But cigarettes, we know. Oh gosh, you start bringing up something about cigarettes, and we can just hit you with so much information about how deadly these things are. Oh gosh, they kill out 1 out of 2 people who use it. They end up crippling a whole bunch of those other people that it didn't end up killing, but it ends up crippling them. It causes so many problems, medical, that is incontrovertible. We know it happens. See, with electronic cigarettes, we don't have that clear cut of an answer for you. But you better understand that if you had asked us about cigarette smoking dangers back in the early 1920s or 30s or 40s, our answer would have been, harmless. They don't do anything to you. There was no real information saying that they did any problems. When you go into the 50s and 60s, the early 60s, it's a little bit more controversial, but there were still plenty of people who denied that there was any problem with it, and many medical professionals. In the 1964, the Surgeon General report came out. Then it became a little bit clearer that, hey, it may have been linked to, or it was linked to lung cancer. They didn't understand a lot of other things, but they understood the lung cancer link. But there were still, it took decades for other people to come to that conclusion that, oh, yeah, the Surgeon General's been saying that for years, but, it's just not that bad. Well, we're talking about decades that this product was being used and totally underestimated how dangerous it was. Again, now we know it's killing, worldwide, it's killing over 5 million people a year. And this is something that if you went back 50 years, after it's been used for 40 or 50 years, there was still just a big question mark on, was it really that bad? So when people are thinking like, well, electronic cigarettes have been out for a long time now, we'd be recognizing if it was causing issues. Go back again to look at history, how it took decades before the cigarette ones were recognized, the implications. And the fact is, we're getting lots of little studies trickling in all the time showing that electronic cigarettes are, being linked to this problem and that problem, lung issues, that things that shouldn't be happening. And yet it's happening to these people. But because there's still this kind of like uncertainty about it, you don't have that concrete resolution that, oh my God, this thing is killing me. That's going to really help me not take the product when you don't have that on your side. So I want you to be careful here with people who have been using electronic cigarettes and are somehow playing this Russian roulette, not knowing how loaded the gun is, but you're still playing Russian roulette. And in a sense, because you went to electronic cigarettes as the interim, that might be causing you some of the problems that you're having right now. Again, my more important reason for making this video, though, I want people who are really cold turkey quitters of cigarettes, people who just went off cigarettes, who are reading these other stories from people that seem like they're having a harder time. Don't translate that to mean that you're likely going to have a harder time. I believe you're in a different category than the electronic cigarette users. They're giving an inaccurate perception of what cold turkey from quitting smoking straight is probably like. You're getting a picture of what quitting cold turkey off of electronic cigarettes are like. And it's going to be a little bit of a different psychological issue, and one that's probably causing them a little bit more problems than they would have had if they just went cold turkey off their cigarette and never played around with the electronic cigarette in the interim. I think it set them back a little. I'll attach the video in here of amount smoked. And it kind of, again, touches on this issue from a different level of why a heavy long-term smoker will often have an easier time, but it's very much the same concept. I don't want to discourage electronic cigarette smokers from trying to quit now because of this, but I just want them to realize they might have a harder time. But so be it. If you have a harder time, you have a harder time. It's still important that you stick with what you did, that you got off cigarettes and now you're trying to get off this other product. The way you get off and stay off that electronic cigarettes is the same way you got off cigarettes. It really is a matter of making now, or you made the commitment already, but now sticking to that commitment to never take another puff.